Welcome to Anime Out of Context, a comedy review show hosted by a basement dweller who grew up scrounging terrible fan subs on sketchy websites prior to the convenience of modern streaming, alongside a willfully ignorant soul whose only knowledge of anime comes from the shows forced upon him here. This show will contain spoilers, incorrect information, and copious amounts of adult language. Our hosts are not experts on any topic, and everything they say should be taken with a grain of salt. Thank you for listening, and enjoy. Hello and welcome to Anime Out of Context, the show where someone else tries to explain the sometimes weird, sometimes wonderful, but always hilarious world of anime.
Hey, wait a minute! That's not John Rollins!
You're goddamn right it's not. I've got him locked up. Oh, Remington, I'm excited to have you this week.
Happy Thanksgiving. I'm thankful for you, Dylan.
Oh, wait, it's Thanksgiving?
You're damn right it is.
Oh shit, I need to fix my calendar. I thought today was April Fool's.
Wait a minute. Am I about to get April Fool's? What the fuck? Wait. Alright, is it April Fool's just because it's a Dylan episode? Or is it April Fool's because you got some weird shit planned?
Yes!
Oh. Okay. I have never been more terrified in my life.
Hey, Remington.
Yep.
We're considered a comedy podcast, right?
Yeah. At least according to our tags.
Okay. Would you consider comedy to be something that can be difficult? Is it something that can come naturally to people? Or is it something that overall kind of varies? Is comedy hard, easy, somewhere in between?
I definitely think that it varies. I think that some people can have, to a certain extent, a natural acumen, but I also believe that it's sort of like art in that a lot of people think that it's all natural, but I think it does take some deliberate and mindful work placed into it and practice and consideration to improve, get better, and not stagnate.
Okay. Do you feel that any variety of comedy is necessarily easier than others, say improv or prop comedy, physical comedy, or stand-up? Do you think some of those have different challenges?
For sure. I think that some might be easier to sort of get a result, right? There's lots of stuff out there, sort of like quote unquote lowest common denominator humor, that will very consistently and easily get a reaction, but rarely is it going to be like the funniest thing you've ever seen. Meanwhile, some other stuff may not make you laugh as consistently, but the laughs it'll get out of you are very meaningful, very impactful. I want to be very careful. I don't want to put anything on like a strict hierarchy. I think we all have our preferences on balance with all these things considered. And I think that those that might be easier and more commercialized doesn't make them necessarily worse in any way, you know?
Okay. Are there any forms of comedy that you would say are inherently lazier than any others?
Yes. Podcasting.
You're not wrong.
No, I think that, one, in my opinion, right? So you have some stuff that's just like haha fart jokes, right? That's one level. I think even one layer beneath that is references without purpose. Where
the entirety of Family Guy.
A lot of it. Yeah, a lot of it. Where it is just referential without saying anything. Because it's okay to like make a reference and draw parallels or craft a metaphor or analogy out of that, right? But when it is just, hey y'all, you know this? You recognize this, don't you? Good times.
That's actually, I think, basically all of those quote-unquote spoof movies from the late aughts that were utter garbage, like Disaster Movie and all that.
I remember when that was, like, such a big trend, where you would have 3 of those kinds of movies, at least, like, that would release every year, and it was overwhelming. There was so much of it. There's so much.
Oh, and no one ever really went to see them after the first, couple days. Even then, not that many people saw them in general. I remember there was one that it was the last time my mother and I ever went to a movie together, and it was superhero movie. We were the only people in the entire damn theater. So basically, it just ended up being while the movie was running, I was just dicking around and throwing shit at my mother.
Yeah. And it's not to say, like, referential humor can be very strong, once again, if it's tied to actual jokes. But if the entire joke is just, I referred to something, I don't find that to be a very high quality joke, generally speaking.
Okay. And what are your thoughts on ironic comedy? Say, where one result is expected, but literally the exact opposite happens.
I mean that's basically it can be done quite well. It is sort of like the foundation of all comedy in a very significant way, or at least the foundation of most comedy. Just subversion, you know. But
Yeah.
I think one thing that has been overdone is, and you see this a lot in animation, both children's and adult animation. That I've seen is, oh man, I'm so glad X didn't happen, and then X happens, right? Which
Oh.
it's an okay formula. The problem isn't the formula. The problem is it being lazily overused. And that's sort of how I feel about most kinds of comedy. The problem is rarely the kind of comedy itself. It's laziness and overuse.
Oh dear. Okay, so Remington,
Yeah.
how would you feel
God
about,
damn it. Yeah, here we
say, a show where the entire premise of every single joke is saying one thing and then the opposite happening?
God damn it. All right, here we go. All right. Now just the good I wish that narrowed it down more for me so that I'd be able to be like, obviously it's this. It doesn't, but it scares. Okay, all right, what the fuck are we doing? What is it gonna be?
So Remington, for you, today I have an adult animated comedy, very adult in the language and humor itself.
Can I make a prediction?
Let's hear it.
All right, so you're doing some April Fool's nonsense. It's an adult comedy.
Yep.
We're talking about lowest shitty kind of humor.
Yep.
And you're talking about that. I've not seen this, but I've heard people talk about this, and it does check all the boxes you're talking about. Though also in the adult, well, I don't know. You know, I don't feel confident making a prediction. Actually, it could be a couple things. I was thinking of one thing because I'd recently seen a review about it, but now I'm thinking a couple other options as well. My first guess, to be open and fair, was that it's going to be one of the like Brickleberry shit, one of those variations.
Huh.
That was going to be my guess, but then it occurred to me that there's actually a lot of really good contenders that you could mention right now. So
yeah, that's, there are, especially, it's really lazy adult oriented comedy where it just, relies on saying one thing, the opposite happening, and then some gross out humor. And so just to break it down for you, Remington, I have for you today a show featuring, I think it is 5 main human characters and 1 talking animal.
Did I get it right? Oh wait, no, because it's still fuck. God damn! All right, continue, please.
So, it is. All right, I'm just gonna be fucking upfront with you. I'm gonna have you watch 3 episodes because I don't want you to watch too much of this. I want you to watch 3 episodes of the Netflix adult animated comedy. Paradise PD, written by the creators of Brickleberry.
God, I knew it. There was something I locked in. I was like,
I was setting it up pretty cleanly. I just wanted to see when you'd catch. Yeah.
All right. Okay. I know the gist of it. You got some. It doesn't matter what the plot is. It doesn't matter. There's no good plot, no good characters, no good story. I don't know. Maybe I'll go in with an open mind. Maybe I'll be surprised, but I'm not optimistic.
Yeah.
I'm not thankful for this.
So, yeah, when I first saw ads for Paradise PD on Netflix, they were using a different cover art for it that made it look a little bit closer to Archer. So I thought, looking at it, and based on
because Netflix has different covers depending on what you personally watch. So it will choose the cover of shows, especially Netflix originals, that more closely matches what you are into.
Yes, they scammed the shit out of me with this one.
For example, if you watch a lot of like horror, then you'll find a Stranger Things cover that focuses on the spooky shit, right? If you watch romance, it'll focus on romance, if like et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah,
and so it sounds like it fucking got you.
Oh yeah, no, it looked like it was going to be an for some reason I thought, like they mentioned Paradise PD being the name, I figured it was going to be an Australian Archer ripoff, and I thought that sounds like it could actually be humorous. What I came across was an abuse of voice actors. Well-known names, honestly. You've got fucking Tom Kenny, so SpongeBob and many, many, many others. Cedric Yarbrough, fucking Grey Delisle is in it. It is such a waste of vocal talent. But yeah, okay, it's not a waste as long as people get entertainment from it, and these people got a check. So, I want you to go into Paradise PD with an open mind, a cast featuring, I think it's 5 or 6 human cops and a talking animal, and I have a challenge for you, Remington.
Oh, fuck.
In the first 3 episodes, I want you to make a note of any actual laughs. Any. Even if it counts as just you breathing a little harder. If there's anything in this show...
I will define laugh very, very broadly and see if anything comes.
A very loose definition of the term laugh. I just want you to approach it like that. Loose definition of laugh, and see what you can dig up.
Fuck.
That is my challenge for you as we go into 3 episodes of Paradise PD.
Hey kids, stay in school, otherwise you'll end up here.
So what you're saying is if you're a fan of Black Clover, you'll love Paradise PD. Ladies, gentlemen, those of you who are otherwise inclined, welcome back. Our dear friend Remington has just finished watching 3 episodes of Paradise PD.
This shall surprise no one, but it's not a good show. But I will have at least one surprise opinion in this episode. I will, at one point, there will be a bit of a left hook, all right, that you won't see coming.
All right, I look forward to it.
Let's talk about the show a little bit. We open up, and it's all about Kevin, who wants to be a cop just like his old dad. He's a kid, he wants to be a cop like his dad. He accidentally gets a hold of a gun and shoots his dad's balls off. Then we fast forward to the future. The parents are now divorced. His mom's the mayor, his dad's the police chief. He still wants to be a cop, but his dad resents him for shooting his balls off.
I can empathize.
The dad talks a lot about his balls. And he's jaded about the relationship. At one point he talks about how his ex-wife used to love his balls, and he goes in this extended bit talking about how he would put his smooth balls over her head and she would pretend she was the Hamburglar, rabble, 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 etc. And I just wrote down that I can see Dylan pulling the Hamburglar balls. That's my only, so I divide my notes into 2. Half of it is what happens in the episode. The other half is just any particular thoughts that I have that I feel the need to write down. That's the only note I have on episode 1 is I can see Dylan doing the Hamburglar balls bit.
I refuse to comment. I plead the 5th. Congratulations on being funnier than the show right out the gate.
So, this episode, we'll go through its different plots or just divide them up. Mainly they're trying to find who has made some Argyle meth. And Bullet the dog hosts a dog orgy, but all the dogs die after trying the meth, and he feels guilty. He decides to be sober, but then that doesn't last long once he believes that all of the dogs went to heaven.
I mean, isn't that true? Isn't that what dogs do?
Yeah, I've been told. Then we have Fitz, who is he's the black cop. Now some of you might think surely there's more to him. Not much. He's like, he has other qualities, but he's primarily defined by his blackness most of the time, it seems. I either to fit stereotypes or to try and subvert them, but either way, it's like it orbits around that a lot. And he becomes friends with a hobo.
Yes.
And then the hobo dies at the end.
Rest in peace. Was it Hobo Cop? Is that what they fucking called him?
Yeah. Good old hobo cop. Then we get Kevin wants to be a part of the force, and he starts like investigating to help out. They figure out that Terry Two Toes is behind it. It turns out that the mayor, who's Kevin's mom, she has the guy she's been dating has actually secretly been Terry Two Toes. They end up capturing Terry Two Toes, but then later Terry is killed. It's a little bit of a clusterfuck, but I was surprised that they decided to have an overarching narrative. That was more than I expected from this show off the bat. And oddly, I'm going to say, and here's the sort of surprising thing. This show, it's bad, but also better than I thought it would be.
Wow.
And I sort of understand why this show has been recreated in 3 different iterations, right? Why there's so much of this show. It's not because it's good, but I've done this podcast long enough, all right? I know how much trash ends up lasting for a long time. It's watchable, is what Paradise PD is. You have, as you mentioned in part 1, you have a very strong vocal cast, and there's enough stuff happening on screen where even if there's like a really shitty joke, right? It's not going to be relevant for very long. They're going to move on quickly to the next 20 things in a very rapid style. No, being watchable, I very, very much want to clarify, does not mean that I'm giving it a thumbs up or saying that it's good or saying that I enjoyed myself. I am saying none of those things. Rather, it at least wasn't a terrible slog. It was, yes, here's a bunch of very low quality humor. It's very bad, and now I'm done with it. As opposed to, like, even many anime we've covered on the podcast, where I have had to force myself through every single episode. I didn't look forward to any episode of Paradise PD, but I was able to make it through okay.
Okay, so it was watchable, but not worth watching. And it wasn't a complete pain. It wasn't the most unfunny thing you've ever seen on the show.
Yeah, yes. Which I thought it would. I suppose the moral is that even the worst of Western cartoons are still better than anime. I don't know. Take whatever message.
I'm gonna. We get hit the lowest of the low, Rem. Trust me, there's more.
I'm just antagonizing the weeps. No, this is worse than a bunch of anime that I've seen. But if I were to compare it to like all of the anime we've ever covered on the podcast, it's probably pretty close to the peak of the bell curve. I'll be honest. When it comes to quality, obviously it's a very different style. And it's horrendously lazy, but yeah, the vocal performances are solid enough. It's very much, if you look, like what I'm imagining this is for, all right, is that you've just been working 9 to 5 at your real shitty job, all right. You pop this on, it's easy to watch, all right. It's on Netflix. There's so much of it, and you're brain dead at this stage, and you don't really care what you're watching. You just need to be watching something. Then like, okay, like this show sort of makes sense for the average American middle class consumer. If you give a shit about what you're watching, avoid this like the plague. It is not good. But if you just need something on the TV and you see this is on and there's a lot of it, I understand it. I don't support it, but I understand it.
Okay, that's a pretty common take with a lot of, this is just kind of get it out there. It's not gonna have a cult following. It's gonna have someone that puts it on in the background, or maybe you'll have a couple teenagers who watch it. It's a thing. It's not.
I would compare it. Yeah, like to bring it into the anime sphere a little bit. I would compare it to a bunch of the shonen trash style anime, or just like basic bitch isekai number 27, right? Yeah, you've seen everything it's going to present to you. It has nothing original or thoughtful or interesting, but it's going to have a large fan base because of that familiarity, because it's colorful enough, because it fits the routine well enough, and that's more or less all that you're looking for at the moment.
So what you're saying is, if you're a fan of Black Clover, you'll love Paradise PD.
I don't think the audiences are the same, but I think the reason for watching is the same. I think the reasons will be quite similar. The way that you enjoy them will be quite similar.
Okay.
Continuing on in episode 2, there's a dog fighting ring that Bullets gets involved with as a professional wrestler. It's to try and learn more about what's going on. It doesn't matter. He does tremendously well, but it turns out that's because the fights have been rigged for him, and he ends up getting in a fight that he can't win. So Kevin comes to save him, but then Kevin gets his ass kicked. Sure, why not? Whatever. Then the other story is about an investigation of a homicide, where someone has died, and they are completely split on the border between Diamond City and Paradise, right? So both police forces that sort of have a rivalry, both want to investigate the body, but each of them get half of the body. And then you think, here's one, like, it's a little bit of a nitpick.
That sounds like it could almost be the setup for a good joke.
It could potentially. In fact, I'm going to say, like, very often this show will either have a good setup or a good punchline, but never both. It'll have an interesting setup where I'm like, oh, they could do something interesting with it, and then they don't. Or it has a solid punchline, and you're like, well, that could have been so good if you just built to it a little bit differently. They never seem to find each other, but it has both of those in the show. But the premise is that only the ass is the thing that's on Paradise side, whereas you have the face and upper body and stuff that are all on the Diamond City side, so they get most of the relevant stuff for a homicide case, right? Which, yeah, 100%. All right, there's a setup. And you'd think, here's the thing that bothers me, like, more than it should, the ass is on the Diamond City side.
What? Are you saying that this show not only did not set the joke up right, but also got its own continuity wrong?
It's so frustrating because they, like, very clearly delineate in the grass, like, here, beautiful in green is Diamond City, trashy in brown is Paradise, all right? And the homicide, the dead body, it's in this, like, awkward, like, sort of, like, face down, doggy position, right? Ass up.
Okay.
To make the ass nice and prominent. But the knees, which are directly below the ass, are on the green side, which means the ass is on the green side, which means it's Diamond City territory. You could just have him lying face down and just completely have it split down the middle.
I think they just had to have him set up just for the visual gag, I'd imagine.
You can position him that way after the split, or just move the pixels, goddammit! If the whole episode is about this joke, all I ask is that it makes sense within what you have constructed. Just move the goddamn pixels. Just move them a little bit to the left. That's all I ask. Or move the line a little bit to the right. That's all it takes. That's all it fucking takes. It's so frustrating. Anyway, that's that episode. It was nice and frustrating. Episode 3 is all about Fitz, the black cop, and it's all about how he has PTSD, so he plays the flute, but then when he gets a gun back, he accidentally shoots himself, and this gets recorded, and it's a very, like, both sides politics kind of episode, where half the people are like, I can't believe this black man was shot by a cop, even though it's, of course, the cop shooting himself, and then the other side is like, is defending the cop for shooting this black man, etc. There's it's the laziest kind of social commentary, because it really is just, hey man, isn't it crazy how both sides misinterpret the issues? And like they don't even do more than that. That's all. That is the whole point. Which, okay, sure. Do you want to do it in a more fun way at the very least? Not really.
They just did not want to bother at that point. Oh,
which
dear.
once again, it's an interesting premise to an episode, right? You have Fitz, who sort of ends up with this split personality thing going on. I think that could be explored a little bit more, perhaps in a more interesting way. I can imagine more competent and intelligent writers really knocking it out of the park with this. It's just that what this comes across to me, right, is very competent writers actually doing the bare minimum of work, right? It's like me in school when I was back in high school or middle school, right? I quickly learned that doing the bare minimum would be good enough for me. So that's all I did. Sure, I was a smart kid. Sure, I could have been very, very successful, had a lot of amazing shit. But no, I did the bare minimum, was lazy as fuck, and I was still successful enough that those bad habits reinforced themselves.
And now you're an anime podcaster.
God, hey kids, stay in school, otherwise you'll end up here. With degrees in multiple subjects, and yet still just talking about goddamn Paradise PD. I have a bachelor's, and this is where I am. Anyway, but it feels like the writers could be very good on this show. Like if they put in the effort, but they're just like here for the paycheck, here to finish a product, move on, and. All right, sure, go. If it works, I guess. But it doesn't seem like, it doesn't come across as they're amateurs or that they're bad at their job. It just feels like they don't care and that they're horrendously lazy. And I could be misreading it, but that's at least my impression, which is disappointing. The most surprising thing to me about Paradise PD was that while it's a clusterfuck, I was amazed it had potential to be something more. I didn't expect that.
Okay.
I expected to be frustrated, and oh boy, was I. But I didn't expect to be disappointed, you know?
So, you mentioned the writers having, at the very least, potential.
Yes.
Do you think any of that has to do with this being their second attempt at the exact same show?
It might be, because like, but at the same time, I don't know what direction it would have gone, right? So this is attempt number 2. This is basically, from what I've heard, more or less the exact same thing as Brickleberry. And it could have gone either way, where one, they've learned some stuff, right? And so this is a better iteration of Brickleberry. Or alternatively, they've learned they don't need to give a shit, and so this is a worse version of Brickleberry. I can see either interpretation. I don't want to test it out. I don't want to.
Oh, so you're saying I shouldn't have you watch the either Brickleberry or the third one, which is it Farzar?
Yeah, I'll be honest. While this is a question I don't need the answer to, at least not through direct experience. Basically, anybody who gives their opinion on the matter, the first person to tell me whether Brickleberry is better or worse, I'll just believe them and trust them and never think about it again. Because I'll be honest, already I've spent far too many words and far too much mental effort on this show. Certainly more than the creators, and I'd like to keep it from surpassing it even further.
Right?
There's just not a lot generally going on, which, like, for me, it's a negative because I care about, like, good storytelling. But if you're just here for stuff to be happening on the television,
Did you laugh?
Alright, so no is the answer to that. Not a single time. There was one joke that it didn't make me laugh, and it wasn't a well done joke, but I thought that it had good ingredients. So, hey, that could have been a well done joke.
Okay. What were the ingredients and how did they fuck it up?
Sure. So, it was in episode 2, which we have Bullet the dog. He's going to All Addictions Anonymous. People are just addicted to everything, blah blah blah. The sort of joke of the scene is largely, haha, aren't addicts funny? Which, you know, that's a choice. But at one point, one guy is, I guess, addicted to autoerotic asphyxiation, right? And he starts sort of doing his thing, and the person in charge asks whether it's like masturbation or suicide. And the punchline is that I can never tell whether he's coming or going. And I felt like that had potential for a decent joke. If it was just slightly if it was different execution, that had the good ingredients, I think. The coming or going, all right, that's decent wordplay. It almost worked.
Okay, I could see how that one would almost work. I think that actually was the very first joke of the episode, wasn't it?
Yes. So that, I think, is it. That was the closest to laughing I got. Yeah. Like, yeah. I will say, oddly, the pacing of the show is pretty good. The pacing is one of the better qualities of this show. Now, the story that is being paced is not great, but every episode has a solid rhythm. It's a commercialized rhythm of when to cut to the A plot, B plot, C plot, right? Mm-hmm. But broadly speaking, they make the right decisions on that front. They have a good balance of the different plot lines and how they intermingle. It's formulaic, it's not groundbreaking, but it does well in that regard.
Okay, and it does definitely feel like the writers are working on their own formula. They want to have their own formula set and running so that they can basically just have the self-perpetuating shows continue to pump the same ones out. Show after show after show, and then one gets canceled, they're starting a new one. It kind of feels like that's the thing they're setting up, doesn't it?
Yeah, they're setting this up so that they can just create an AI where they can just put in a few keywords into the Brickleberry Paradise PD formula, and it'll shit out an entire script.
You know, I have not seen either of the writers in the same room as Deep Thoughts.
see, it makes sense. It makes sense.
Oh, there's going to be 42 of these out there. Next thing you know, we're all just going to be completely surrounded by this type of content made by, I am going to be polite and say, Walmart, Seth MacFarlane. Actually, Remington, how would you say this show compares to one of its contemporaries on the American side of things? How would you say that Paradise PD compares to, say, Family Guy?
So my natural instinct, right, is to be like, well, Family Guy ain't great, but it's at least better. But I'll be honest, I would need to genuinely think and consider that decision, especially because it's been a long time since I've consumed like a full episode of Family Guy and not just random clips that YouTube has been trying to force feed since, like, I don't know, 2012? That's been going a while. I remember when YouTube would have constant Family Guy marathons always streaming from random ass channels. On. Good God, I don't understand. But I don't know. I don't think it's that. I do not think that the difference, if there is one, is that significant. And you can take that as a huge insult to to a lot of these commercialized adult shows, or you can take it as a compliment to Paradise PD. I like they're pretty comparable, and once again, it's a very specific niche of adult animation because there's plenty of adult animation, such as one of my favorite shows of all time, BoJack Horseman, that are so much more. But yeah, no, there's a lot of lazy ass bullshit. It's sort of the equivalent of like if an 8-year-old gets your iPad, right? And they're just gonna watch a bunch of weird, strange shit on YouTube that I can't comprehend. It's the adult equivalent of that. It's just something to be happening on the screen. We can be like, dumbass kids. Look, dumbass adults, man. It's
yes, Paradise PD, the Elsa Gate of Netflix.
and I'm just sort of like, once again, it's not stellar comedy, but I don't think that some people will try to equate that with like a degradation of society itself. Like, no, there's plenty of super high quality stuff out there. If you just want some lazy media, it's not the end of the world. Whatever, man.
Okay. And earlier you mentioned you don't know how it compares to it's the previous show in the series. I don't really know if they're considered a series. I know they take place in the same universe. It's, one of its peers, that being Brickleberry. So how do you think these two compare in Rotten Tomato scores, just right off the bat?
I think... Okay, so Rotten Tomato scores is interesting. First, are we going critic score or...
Oh, these don't have critic scores!
Okay, cool. Just had to check, because here's my sort of thinking. While I've calibrated my Weeb rankings a lot, I haven't calibrated my Western rankings.
Yeah, and sadly, neither of these shows are on Mal. So I can't just pop them open and actually read some interesting reviews. Nah, all we've got is what we've got.
Let me walk through my sort of thought process.
Okay.
Right? My thought process goes, I think that generally there's a good chance that Brickleberry was better received, right? It's the original, which people will just naturally have a type of nostalgia for right off the bat. Because evidently it was successful enough. You need something to be successful enough to have spin-offs. Then those spin-offs don't necessarily need to be successful to continue spinning off. It's just sort of inertia at that point. That being said, we've also seen a trend where we've seen this in like seasons that come later often ranked higher just because they have a smaller audience, but that smaller audience is by definition those who like it the most and thus stuck with it.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to, my official answer, locking it in. This is just a long way for me to say it could still go either way. I'm going to guess that Brickleberry was rated higher. That's my guess.
Okay. And do you have any score guesses for either of the two shows?
Fuck. I think, and it's in percent this time.
Yep.
I think that Brickleberry will have a 48% and that Paradise PD will have a 42%? No, like a 35%. There we go. So I'll be honest, I have no once again, I am so not calibrated in Rotten Tomatoes, which makes me feel ashamed.
Remington, you almost impressed me there.
Oh, shit.
So, with a score of 48%,
oh my god,
Paradise PD is lower than Brickleberry. With a score of 71%.
71! Alright, that's definitely much higher than I thought. Well, just goes to show I don't know shit about the American audiences. I don't know shit about how things are rated on Rotten Tomatoes.
And funny enough, Brickleberry is scored higher audience score than Family Guy as a show in total, not individual seasons. I'm sure individual seasons early Family Guy would absolutely destroy. Family Guy only has 63.
I would say there's one level to that might be just like more niche things. I think once you hit the point where everybody has seen it, naturally your rating will go down. But also, it's not like, this is not me saying Family Guy is the pinnacle of art in of itself.
What, you're saying it's not the greatest show on earth for having several episodes which are nothing but Star Wars?
Yeah, this might come as a surprise, but there are some shows out there, some adult animated shows that I find to be lazy, trite, and I tend to not enjoy watching them.
I'd say that's probably about half the shows on this podcast.
Oh, easily.
All right. Well, I think that about covers it. But before we wrap up, Remington, I have one question to ask. Would you like to watch some more Paradise PD with me?
Fuck no.
I had the feeling.
I would rather OD on some Argyle meth, Dylan.
That actually reminds me. This show taught me something. I
Oh, yeah?
learned something from this fucking show.
Well, you know what they say, Paradise PD, educational.
I had no idea that the name of one of the patterns of method they were making was called houndstooth.
Oh, yeah.
I had no idea. I just
No, there you
always
go.
thought it was a weird form of chevron.
Oh,
All right, but thank you guys so much for joining us, and I can't remember the spiel Shaun normally does at the end of these.
oh, here, don't worry. With special guest Shaun Rollins, everybody. Oh, thanks for having me. All right. Well, if you guys want to support us, you guys can of course leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify. It's so meaningful. We can also we Twitch stream over at twitch.com/anime-out-of-context. Or if you really want to support us, then you can go over to patreon.com where we have all sorts of different perks of bonus content, one of which is Remington will read your names out. So take it away, Remington. Who do we have to thank this week? Well, Shaun, as always, I would like to send our regards to all of our bland bitch protagonists, as well as our magical girls, who we really appreciate. But moving on, we get to the yandere waifus, who are just making us watch more Paradise PD. The fucking psychos. On that list, we have, this equipment is faulty, insists Misaka, as her goggles keep picking up a radio station in Tacoma. Zombie Stomp, Zhao Sheng Hao Zhong Wo Shizai Wai O Bing Chilling.
Fucking what? Okay.
I don't know, man. I could have just said some very unsavory shit.
I'll
Xanax,
have to Google that and then might have to
Yeah.
beep you.
Yep, Xanax. You look up how to hide corn inside bananas once, and the monkey FBI will never leave you alone again. Yandere Neko, why Shaun, Whomstuff, what do you call a herd of cows masturbating? Beef stroking off. You know what? I'll praise decent. I got it.
That
Walk
was a
me home
better
gently.
joke than the entire fucking show.
It's true. Walk Me Home Gently, Wade Shell, Trenton Farrell, Totally God, The Susanator, The Big Bean, Tanya Juarez, Static Shock is my favorite anime, Stacy's Mom, Silent Secondary, Shoujo Addict who doesn't need help, just more manga to read and anime to watch. Shaun still uses Internet Explorer, sounds like he must like it nice and slow. Shaun punished Rem and make him watch Excel World. Salty Pretzel, Ross Palmer, Rhiannon Williams. Remembering to update your Patreon name is really hard when you fall into the shonen manga pitfall. Damn shonen flop, go check. Continues to crush my soul. PSA, look out for your local mail carriers. Leave some snacks or water by your door as thank you. It truly helps. Prediction out of context. Shaun died crushed under a pile of emails after the Edge Runners episode. We are holding a wake at app, and then it cuts off. Oddly prescient considering Shaun isn't here. So,
Yeah, Edge Runners is the last episode that he was.
I guess I'll say you nailed it.
Oh, shit, yeah.
Congratulations.
Good call.
Pakawa anime out of context ga desuku desu. No waifu no lifu. Nitsaira. Nick Harvey. MILF Hunter X Hunter, a story about a young Shaun searching for his big-boobed waifu mommy. Mexican 7 Hierto. No, Mikeka 7 Hierto, then Mexican Gone Freaks. Mix those two together. Mato2 Max, Lizzie Anthea. Letting y'all decide if I should quit my job. Should I? Oh, God. I would say that it's clear that you're looking for other things. And so I would at least start that process, right? It doesn't hurt to see what other options are out there, and that may help motivate your decision, whether it makes you more confident in staying or whether you find an amazing option and decide to leave from that. That's probably a responsible and more mindful way of going about doing it.
Yeah, take a vacation if you can. Get a couple days to think about things. Make sure you have some interviews lined up, and consider if you're in a financial situation in which you can spend an extended period away from work before jumping either before your interviews, or if you would rather work through until you have a job lined up. That's what I've done for pretty much every single one of my gigs.
Hey, I would say just generally, even if you're content in your current job, it doesn't hurt to do a little job searching occasionally. You know, just browse what's out there.
Oh yeah, best way to get a raise is to get a new job.
It's true. Leaf Denji and Pochita out of harm's way, Shaun, King Rich Rock, Cassidy, Jester Traveler, Jax, Jam Hands. I want Rem to ruin Darling in the Franks for me. I petition new pod cover where Shaun, Rem, and Dylan do Azakin poses. That could actually work decently well. Hunter Davies, how could you not mention Edge Runner's music at all? Like, what the fuck? It had really good music, but I'm gonna say it didn't have, like, the single greatest music of all time, alright? It had very good music! But, like, it sort of comes with the genre of, like, cyberpunk, and, like...
Oh yeah, it just needed, more orgy, some Julian K, some Power Man 5000. It needed
I felt like it had good cyberpunk music, but sort of to the level that I would expect from the genre, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Hashire sori yokaze no yu ni tsukumahara wa paroru hashire sori yokaze no yu ni tsukumahara wa paroru.
I need to have you sing that bit.
I don't know what the tune goes. So Shaun sent me a link last week. Didn't watch it. Happy Thanksgiving, guys. I hope you play some White Swords. Also, winter is coming, Sean Rollins. Glenn Michael Dolan, Gay Bootsex, Fuck of Love Fox and Boy. Ferdy the Birdman is still going strong in non-stop Nut November. Farmer Weeb wants a Merry Angel Beats Christmas, and you can too. Fantide, Extreme Cobra, Elite Night, Duck, Drink Chocolate Milk Wobbly Bones, not a conspiracy. Dickite Mimicin, Picture in Tris Pentafluorethyl Trifluorophosphate, also known as FAP, and finally Trans 14 Biz 4 Pridal F. Dark Pikachu, Creed 13, Cheese Monkey, Charles Crumpton, Cage in the House, Brockhart for Geodudes, Blood for the Blood God, Skulls for the Skull Throne, Big Blue Bear Boy, Bad Anime Idea, an ecchi show about inanimate rocks. It is ecchi because the rocks look sort of like boobs, so much cleavage. Audio glitch, and when that final moment came to pass, like Christ, they came riding on an ass. Elise Howard, AJ Tunnels, AJ Angel Honey, A Daze, Aaron Hegland, and now we go to the Boy Wizard tier where you get the task you avoided by writing a Patreon name. Chris, you get planning your fiance's b-day, but we're not quite there because we also have Break for Emergency, Anime Puns. Sean's here, so we don't need to. In fact, there wasn't even a call for Anime Puns.
Yeah, no,
amazingly.
Wow.
Spicidus, is that how it's pronounced, Dylan? You apparently do it better. Spicidus?
Spicitis.
Spicidus?
Yeah, like situs invertus. Or inversus? It's a condition where your guts are backwards.
What the fuck?
That's not why they're called that way, but
okay.
situs invertus.
All right, so the emphasis is on both spy and situs.
Yeah.
Okay. I understand.
You know, I honestly shouldn't have said anything. I should have let you just deal with pronouncing
this
it
whole
wrong.
This whole time. All right, now we move on to the Boy Wizard tier, where everybody is going to be assigned an adult cartoon from the best adult cartoons of all time, according to manofmany.com. Very reputable, I'm sure.
Some award-winning journalist here.
Yeah. On that list, we have Warning, you're 799 episodes away. You get Rick and Morty. Vincent Calabrese, you get Gravity Falls.
Okay.
Not necessarily an adult cartoon, but a cartoon that could be enjoyed by adults.
I would say arguably it's enjoyed more, at least if you're on the older side. But
Well,
it still
sure.
has it's kid-friendly, but definitely has some adult themes going throughout.
I didn't expect it on this list.
Okay, fair.
To get into my Rem cosplay, I recite the mantra, become another person. You get The Simpsons. The Great Butt Ball of Despair, you get South Park. Shane Ware would like to request again that you watch all of Clan Ed with BS Rule. At least listen to Dango Dai Kazoku. Yeah, sure, why not? Oh, baby, you get the number one. You get BoJack Horseman.
Oh, hell yeah.
Sean, will you keep your promise from episode 13 at 38:45 and 43:45? We have been waiting. They came with timestamps. God damn.
I wanted to have a Gundam series that, one, was separate enough from the timelines that I couldn't explain it, and, it makes some sense by itself, which a lot of the separate Gundam series do. In fact, my favorite Gundam series does. We'll talk about that one way later on because it's good, and I don't want to spoil it for you.
When I go through this, I'm gonna have to see if I can. That was not an episode I edited, so I'm gonna have to download the episode and then just cut that chunk out of it.
That was back when I was editing for the first like 6 months of the podcast.
Eesh.
You get Archer. Shaun, you are my idol, and just like you, I also like Boku no Pico. You get the Venture Bros. Reincarnated from human instrumentality, I seek to make a 58-person harem to combat loneliness. It's tension post-impact. You are going to get Samurai Jack.
Oh yeah.
All right, fair enough. I did not like Samurai Jack when I was young because I was the kind who just needed the pretty colors.
When I was a kid, I thought it was I thought it was just kind of dry and boring, but now that I'm adult, I do appreciate it a lot more.
Like I am very impressed with it. I don't think Cartoon Network was the place for it.
Oh no,
it's sort of my position.
I think it's actually a little highbrow for Cartoon Network.
Yeah. Nico, you get Harley Quinn. The newer, I guess, show about Harley Quinn. Which all I know about that show is the cancer ray, which was very funny. I'll send you the clip.
Okay.
My Afro ate my dog. You get Futurama. Mike got his Overlord review. You get the Boondocks. Miguel De Leon, you get Regular Show, another like kids show that a lot of adults like, so I can accept it. Massimo Martelli, Steven Universe, another in that category.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep. Once again, these not ones I was expecting, but sure.
Okay. Yeah.
I get it. Maitawa says first 3 arcs of Bakemonogatari is just 8 episodes. You get Metalocalypse. Latino stopped eating from confusion about Sean's relationship with body pillows. You get Family Guy. Just call me Goofy because I'm about to yuck you up. I have been, unironically, I will occasionally just call my girlfriend a mother yucker, because I find that hilarious. It's great. Inuyasha's my favorite cryptid, believes in angels. You get Bob's Burgers. If you can't watch Healer Girl, angels will beat you to death because you're still a girl. I see we're getting momentum for, I'm not going to explain it, but we're getting momentum for it, I see. We'll see if Shaun follows through or not. Hella Rex, you get Clone High. I don't know. This is the one, I think I've vaguely heard of it, but I'm unfamiliar.
That is an old one. It had fucking JFK, a bunch of other people from random time periods. Clone turned into high schoolers, and
sure, why not? Well, go ahead, call the cops. It won't silence the voices. They're getting louder. Please send help. You get Black Dynamite. Crimson Reapers, just because of the sides. You get Big Mouth. Beethoven 1201, you get Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law. Anime Girl, you are getting Daria. Animated Z, you get F is for Family. Angel Father is counting down until next Bonsai, 48 weeks as of November 15th. Remembering to update names is hard. You get Ugly Americans. Am now tempted to find a song that you can't help but belt and peak that mic. Maybe a good HU song. You get Space Ghost Coast to Coast.
By the way, specifically, if it was spelled HU, it's The Who. It is a Mongolian metal band.
Ah, I see.
And they do some throat singing, and it is badass.
Well, there we go. Now we move on, of course, to our inappropriate Joey Wheeler tier. Thank goodness, because in just a few entries, number 30 was going to be Brickleberry. So, that would have been... And number 36 would have been Paradise PD. Oh, what a tangled web we weave. But oddly, I'm like, yeah, no, that placement makes sense considering all the other stuff.
Yeah.
And this time, Dylan will be showing off his best Joey Wheeler impression.
Okay.
As he recites really lowbrow humor. They can be dick jokes, fart jokes, whatever. Just Google a bunch of terrible jokes and do them as Joey Wheeler. And however, and the quality of joke is equivalent to the quality of them as people. Inverted though. So, if it's a great joke, they're a terrible person, and vice versa. We start with, take a peek into my slashy box, Chad the baby bringer. Good God. Started off strong. If only Shaun was here to hear it.
God. Well, slashy box. You know what they say? Boy, blowjobs sure are a mouthful.
Jesus Christ. You have such high moral integrity. You're possibly the best to walk among us. Raphtalia's my anime waifu has returned.
Well, you know what? Some of these dick jokes are. Suddenly, I'm from Wisconsin now. Oh shit!
Good old Wisconsinite Joey Wheeler.
Hey, Ukes. Hey, no,
hey,
fuck! Oh
Ukes.
shit! I got it in my head. Fuck! Oh no!
Hey, Ukes.
Hey, okie day. I'm slipping it. Fuck it. Whatever.
He's falling into Wisconsin.
Joey Wheeler's from Wisconsin today.
Holy shit!
Jesus.
It's so good.
You know, some of these. Oh shit! Is this only the second one? Oh fuck. Okay. You know, some of these Wisconsinite dick jokes are a little hard for me to swallow.
You are the moral equivalent of Christ himself. Pizza Cotton Candy is my waifu.
You know, it's a good thing your waifu's just like your dick, not small, but just travel size.
You're not as good as the other two, but you're helping grandmas across the street daily. Magic Ice Ball.
Oh, don't worry, Magic Ice Ball. Your dick's not tiny; it's pi inches long. Yeah, sure, it's small, but it's also infinite.
What the fuck? I think you're an upstanding human, but I'll be honest. I feel like I get the joke, but I feel like I don't. Like, I get it, but at the same time, I feel like I'm missing something. Next up, we got Hermione pegs Harry and Ron.
Well, now I guess we know how they get the dick from Hermione, but how do they get the dick from Richard? I guess just by asking nicely.
I suppose that this patron is technically the worst so far, with the inverted principle, but at the same time, they are still a very, very good person. Next up, we go to my dear old mom.
Well, Rem's mom, I would give you a dick joke, but I don't want to come off as cocky about it.
It was all right. Let me think. So this one, it was not funny, but it might be one of the least unfunny.
But that's how you do dick jokes. They're not supposed to actually be funny.
So I guess for my dear old mom, you're a pretty good person. Then we go to Chelsea Nussbaum.
Hey, Charles, what did the penis say to the condom? Cover me. I'm going in.
You know what? For the first time, compared to what we've had thus far, Charles, I think you're the tiniest bit shitty. I think that was our first like almost good joke. So I think you're our first like almost a little bit naughty. All right, like so you're not on the naughty list yet, but Santa's considering it. Blood cell back to being back to not being the white one. Fuck those guys that way too aggressive.
What can a bird do that a man can't do? He can eat with his pecker. I gotta admit, I've gone to like 3 of these different lists. They're all really terrible.
That one was highly cursed. So, Bloodcell, you're a good person, but let's see if it's inverted. You're a good person who I dislike more than I should. Is that? Yeah, I guess that's the inverted way of saying that. Because the joke was a terrible joke that I liked more than I should have. Then we go to Blake.
Well, Blake, did you hear about the porno I was in? How to drain your dragon.
You see, that one actually makes sense if someone knows me.
You know what, Blake? I think you pushed your grandpa down the stairs. I like that joke more than I should have. So you are very poor morally, apparently. Last but not least, going above and beyond, we have none other than Dylan Hayden.
All right, I need to pull out something really special for this one.
Dylan Hayden, your Schrodinger's morality, depending on the day, you might be very good, or you might be very, very evil. Sort of Jacqueline Hyde with that joke is what I'm feeling. Depends how it hits me. If you know what I mean. All right. Thank you all for tuning in. If you want to reach out, whether it's for a comment, question, feedback, or recommendation, you can tweet us at AnimeConPod on Twitter, or send an email over onto animeoutofcontext@gmail.com.
Thank you guys so very much for joining us, and as always, don't fuck your sister. This is normally the part of the episode where I throw in some random corruptions of things that were said by one of the hosts during the episode. However, that feels a little bit masturbatory when it comes to an episode that I am featured in. So what I've done instead is
one of our fans actually made a song using clips from previous episodes. And honestly, we all enjoyed that song so much, we asked if we could feature the song in an episode, and they said yes. So, this is going to be the first of potentially more feature spotlights of fan music. This one is by Paco El Musico, and you can find their site linked in the description. Enjoy.
Very unfortunate. As well as the fact that I think I hear police sirens in the
With that uncomfortable thought, let's do this.
Alright, let's actually get the show started. In 3, 2, 1, mark.
I ride over in an open sleigh singing, ho ho, holy shit, this is
Anime out of context. Anime out of context.
The show where I attempt to explain the sometimes weird, sometimes wonderful, but always hilarious world of anime.
Anime out of context.
And I yell timber as I fell the great waifu weed tree.
Honestly, Remington, the anime I've chosen today is a bit of a strange one.
Oh, fuck.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. After watching the entirety of
Anime out of context.
Remington, I have to stress this very heavily. Depending on your statements here, could decide whether or not we can stay friends.
I was hanging on by a thread for quite a while during this. If it doesn't kill me, maybe I'll do it myself. We'll see.
God damn it. God damn it. You can't drop that on me. Oh, son of a bitch. Remington right now,
Anime out of context.
is currently rated at number 48 of all anime
Wow.
with an 8.69.
Good
nice.
God.
Very
That's,
nice.
yeah, first of all, nice.
Nice.
And once again, guys, thank you all so much for tuning in. And as always, don't fuck your sister.